Hello, Richardson ISD families. RISD wants all students and families to be aware of the potential dangers of vaping. This PowerPoint was designed with the intent to specifically educate staff and parents on vaping devices and the signs of vaping. Thank you for helping all RISD students live wise and live healthy.
So what is vaping? Vaping is using an electronic cigarette or electronic device to inhale an aerosol with an e-juice that is liquid nicotine with added flavor. The term vaping is used because of the vapor exhaled by the user. The vapor is not smoke, and it is not water vapor as is commonly thought.
There are many devices used to vape. They are all electronic cigarettes, but are commonly called names such as e-cigs, e-hookah pens, vapes, vape pens, Juuls, and mods. All types are battery-powered or can be charged by a computer. Each electronic vaping device delivers nicotine through e-liquid. Marijuana can also be used in electronic vaping devices. These are commonly referred to as dabs or dab pens. Vaping has increased 900% in recent years among high school students.
Electronic vaping devices can be easily hidden at school and at home.
I don't know how any of this works at all. So where do you put the fluid? Why do you need power?
So it's empty.
I know nothing about this.
Yep, that's exactly what I thought. What the heck is a Juul?
What is a Juul? A Juul is a closed-loop vape system. It consists of a battery and a pre-filled pod. The pre-filled pod is filled with e-liquid with a high nicotine volume. A Juul is very easy to use. All you do is put the pod in and vape away.
Lots of high school kids would never think of smoking. They've grown up with anti-tobacco ads.
With this contract, I relinquished part of my freedom to you.
The scary thing is they don't think of vaping as smoking a cigarette or as smoking.
Vaping can deliver nicotine to your brain.
It is true that Juuls don't have a lot of the toxic chemicals that, say, a cigarette has. But a tiny Juul pod has the equivalent amount of nicotine that's contained in an entire pack of cigarettes. So why would kids Juul?
They love the flavors.
I've heard a lot of kids say, it just gives them a quick buzz. They feel good after they do it.
You see the younger celebrities, they're holding a Juul in their hand, and everyone on Snapchat will post videos of them Juuling. They just find it as a way to be cool.
If you have money, you can get it super easy. Just ask anyone.
One of the things that makes it really hard for educators is that Juuls are really easy to hide.
So if I'm a student, I'm not just like this, but if I have a pocket or if I put it right in here.
Juuls look so similar to, say, thumb drives, right? It's really easy to get confused. And of course, kids take advantage of this. So a lot of students told me about a game they play in class where a student will go up to a teacher who has no idea what a Juul is and say, hey, I've got my, presentation on this thumb drive. Can I charge it on your computer, please? Because I really need to have it. And then they go ahead and charge their Juul on the teacher's computer, and teachers have no idea.
It's very tricky. It's made to be very tricky, to trick us. So therefore it's difficult as teachers to know if they're actually vaping.
So what's a teacher to do? Here are some of the things you can look for in your classroom.
So your typical high school bathroom, right?
Frequent or long bathroom breaks. A lot of kids go to the bathroom and then they hang out Juuling. In fact, it's become so common that schools across the country have either cut down on the number of bathrooms that are open. Teachers may monitor the bathroom, sometimes even principals.
You might have 5 or 6 kids hanging out in here with the door closed and vaping.
Watch out for kids who cover their face with their hands, who sometimes have sleeves next to their nose, who put their head down often. It may be they're just tired, they're teenagers, right? But it could be that they're vaping in class. A principal I spoke to said one of the most effective methods he used was really involving parents. So, for example, he didn't just talk to kids about the problem. He had after-school seminars where he would invite parents, and then it grew even bigger. It wasn't just parents, he actually invited the entire community so that there were lots of sets of eyes on his students. And parents are still really influential in their teen's life. I mean, just listen to what this one kid, Zane, said to me.
My mama don't play that. Yes, that's so simple.
Your mom is a very smart woman.
Yeah, my mom would kill me too.
So why is vaping a problem? The first problem is that in the state of Texas, it is illegal to smoke or vape until the age of 21. Vaping is increasing rapidly. Over 1.5 million more students use an electronic device to vape this year than in the previous year. Let me say that again. 1.5 million more underage users. Many electric devices use flavored liquids that pique interest in teens with names like Swedish Fish and Dreamsicle. These candy-themed names lead people to believe that vaping is not dangerous.
When students were asked why they vape, the responses were concerning. Statements like, "It looks cool, and everyone else is doing it." "Upperclassmen do it." As nicotine is very addictive, it is also a problem that students say, "I like the way it makes me feel," and "It's just water, it can't hurt me." Some like it because vaping is easy to hide, and as one student said, "I feel sneaky."
Vaping has now been labeled by the FDA as an epidemic. E-cigarettes are far more popular than traditional cigarettes. Students typically believe that it is safer to vape than it is to smoke a traditional cigarette.
While traditional tobacco use has declined over the past decade, electronic vaping devices have increased, even though users don't know what's in an e-cigarette. Many reported that it's just flavoring, and 13.7% of students surveyed said they didn't know what is in their e-cigarette.
E-cigarettes contain more than just flavoring. In order to make an electronic vaping device work, chemicals such as propylene glycol, lead, formaldehyde, toluene, cadmium, acetone, acrolein, and nickel are used in the device. This does not include chemicals in the e-juice. Most e-juices have the chemicals that cause popcorn lung and can potentially cause lung failure. The FDA does not require ingredient labels on electronic vaping devices, so people buying them have no idea what they are really inhaling.
Hospitals are starting to see cases of lung failure due to vaping. Depending on the severity, teens have lapsed into comas and have had to relearn everyday activities such as walking.
Nearly 100 severe lung illnesses linked to vaping are under investigation tonight in 14 states. The CDC is looking into dozens of cases where e-cigarette users inhaled some kind of vapors. Anna Werner spoke with a Florida teenager who blames vaping for a different type of lung injury.
Chance Amarata never thought he'd wind up in the emergency room with a collapsed lung.
I just freaked out, and they said, "Your lung has collapsed. You have to go to surgery right now."
The 18-year-old posted Instagram videos showing his chest before and after the surgery to repair what turned out to be a hole in his lung. His surgeon told CBS News Amarata's lungs were inflamed, which could have been caused by something he'd been inhaling.
But now, you've never been a smoker, a traditional smoker.
Never, yeah.
What have you been using?
Juul.
Juul.
Yeah, cigarettes are just obsolete.
Amarata believes his year-and-a-half-long Juul habit caused his lung injury. Doctors told CBS News it's possible vaping may have contributed to it. But health authorities are now investigating other kinds of severe lung illness associated with vaping. 94 possible cases in 14 states. It's not clear which product or substance the individuals used.
You first started hearing about these cases how long ago?
Oh, all within the last month.
Dr. Emily Chapman is Chief Medical Officer at Children's Minnesota Hospitals.
So essentially you're seeing a pattern.
A pattern that's different from what we've seen before, yes. On the chest x-ray, the whole thing looks abnormal equally throughout the entire lung.
A normal lung in cross-section view looks like this. Now look at the cross-section view of a patient in Hawaii whose doctor says he has the same type of acute lung injury. Dr. Chapman says it can be critical.
You're basically saying that over a week's time, their lungs are failing.
They go from healthy adolescents to really in a life-threatening situation.
Juul declined to comment on Amarata's case, but says it's monitoring the ongoing investigation into the other lung injury cases. The American Vaping Association is taking the position that it's not nicotine, but illegal drugs or THC, an ingredient in marijuana that likely caused those injuries. But Nora, nobody really knows for sure.
Is the lung damage permanent?
They don't know. They say there could be permanent lung damage. They're not sure yet.
Scary. Anna Werner, thank you so much.
Juuling is a term used for vaping with a popular electronic vaping device brand, the Juul. A Juul looks like a flash drive and can be charged in a USB port on a computer. One Juul liquid pod, like the one in the photos, delivers the same amount of nicotine as an entire pack of cigarettes. Juul products are so popular that the company is now valued at over $10 billion and is a faster growing company than Facebook. Juuls are the most common electronic vaping device confiscated by school administrators. Many are hidden in pockets or the drawstring part of a hoodie. Juuls can be mistaken for flash drives, so many students charge them on laptops in the classroom. Remember, all electronic vaping devices are not allowed on school property by students or parents. Students found with electronic vaping devices will receive 3 days of in-school suspension. Students with marijuana in an electronic vaping device can be charged with a felony.
A new trend in electronic vaping devices are vaping watches. The device is an actual watch displaying the date and time. However, the watch detaches and is used as a vaping device. These devices are also not allowed at schools.
So what are signs of vaping? Look for smoke-like clouds and sweet scents that aren't a plug-in or a candle. Vaping can also smell strange, like latex. Look for pens or USB drives that don't look like normal pens or USB drives. If you have additional unfamiliar chargers laying around, your students could be using an electronic vaping device. Vaping causes increased thirst, and many people cut their use of caffeine when vaping. Increased nosebleeds and acting more secretive are also signs of vaping. If you see empty pods laying around, they are specifically used for vaping.
So what do I do if I think my student is vaping? Remember to listen. You will be tempted to ask, "What were you thinking?" But you probably won't get a helpful answer from that. Ask questions about how long they have been vaping, how much they vape, where they are vaping, and where they are getting their vape devices and e-liquids. Be as non-judgmental as possible. Discuss getting help together. Knowing that he or she is not alone in getting help makes it easier. If you need help or resources, reach out to your school for assistance. The school administrators, counselors, and nurses are here to help. If you would like more information on the dangers and concerns of vaping, check out these resources. Thank you for helping all Richardson ISD students live wise and live healthy.